It is my privilege to introduce a leader who has dedicated his career to service excellence and the development of soldiers. Command Sergeant Major Dave Silva, with years of distinguished service in the United States Army. Command Sergeant Major Silva has led with integrity, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to the mission. He is a mentor, a motivator, a role model. His leadership continues to shape the future of our future force. Please join me in welcoming Command Sergeant Major Dave Silva.
Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, heroes, legends of the explosive ordnance disposal community, and the families that stand as the bedrock of our calling. It is an honor to be before you tonight at the 57th EOD Memorial Ball. Thank you to the foundation. Thank you, Greg and Jerry and the entire team that put this together and make this night a truly magical night. And thanks for inviting me to be at least a little part of it. But to me, what we're a part of is bigger than all of us, and it's bigger than a ball. This is not a ball. This is a family reunion. A family that has emerged from the crucibles of danger, shared patriotism, common purpose, shared love, and shared loss. But like any family reunion, we have the usual characters. We've got the new grads sitting over there at the kids' table. They're just happy to be here. Congratulations. Welcome to the party. We got the grandpas that we gather around. We want to hear their tales. Where's Bob Leindecker at? There he is. Bob. We got the crazy aunts. They don't know who they are, but we all know who they are. We will talk about them on the ride to the bar after this. We got the dads in the back that are already starting to fall asleep. Yeah. And then the moms who are just trying to keep the whole thing from falling apart. Thank you, Maria, Patricia, Michelle, Ashley, Jacqueline, Mackenzie, and JT. We got a good share of our cousins here tonight from the public safety bomb squads. I see Big John over there at his table, his crew. Appreciate you guys for coming out. And of course, the always entertaining drunk uncles. So many drunk uncles. Always entertaining. All right, so quick origin story. From the time I was 3, I was given a different view of family than many had growing up. The mom that brought me into this world would not be the one I get to grow up with. I wouldn't get to grow up being loved and loved by. I'd always feel her presence, but someone took her existence from me at a very early age. So I found my own mom. I adopted her. She adopted me. By the way, if you get to see this, hi, Mom. I love you. Can't believe I'm here, right? And thank God for mamas, right? Where would we be without our mamas? Yeah. My family became neighbors, friends, anyone that invested in me, and I saw something in their spirit that I wanted to become a part of me. And why I'm sharing this is going to make sense in a minute. So I'm about to graduate high school, and I did not have a whole lot of other options. So I joined the Army right away. I was going to do 3 years, get my feet underneath me, and here I am 32 years later, and I still don't have my feet underneath me, so we'll see, maybe next year, right? As I look back in my career from a skinny little cannon cocker, airborne, over at what is now again Fort Bragg. It seemed like yesterday in some respects, and obviously it was a lifetime ago in others. And it was fun. I enjoyed it, but it did not take long for me to realize that I made a huge mistake. No offense to my artillery brothers and sisters, but this wasn't what I wanted to do for very long. I didn't know at the time what truly drew me to EOD. I thought it was just a cool job. However, my last job was pretty cool. Jumping out of airplanes, shooting big guns, blowing stuff up from a distance. But I knew I wanted to do something different. So before I volunteered for EOD school, I spent some time visiting a couple of the other MOSs, some silly ones I was thinking about doing. One of them was a broadcast journalist. Took the voice test and all that. And then I realized I don't want to spend my entire career reporting about how cool someone else's job is. So that was out. And then finally I landed on EOD. And off to EOD school I was. About a year of studying, partying, repeating, until you graduate and become a brand new bomb tech like some of the guys in here tonight. And I thought I was now like as cool as James Bond. I also thought girls were going to dig this and just be enamored by it. And the fact that the ladies are laughing proves that I was wrong. The only people who thought it was cool were other dudes. So that was just interesting to me. Like, oh, you blow stuff up, that sounds cool. The girls are like, yeah, that doesn't sound like it makes a lot of money. But it did seem interesting. And I do remember, like, shortly after graduating, the sensation of working at OEOB. For those of you who don't know, that's the old executive office building. We do White House details for about a month at a time. And I remember walking through the West Wing and standing, it was over the holidays, on the south lawn, during Christmas time at the White House, and thinking, I was dressed up in a suit. And I could hear my high school guidance counselor talking to my ear. She was telling me, it's a good thing you're joining the Army because you'd never be able to do anything else. And if you knew me back then, you would have agreed with her, and some of you that know me now still agree with her. I don't know why my wife's looking at me like that, but all right. And I remember thinking, I can't believe I'm here. Like, wow, this is incredible. What an opportunity that EOD provided for me. And it wasn't always fun. We made it fun. We found little ways to do things that we thought were interesting. And one time we were at the checkpoint as letting all the people, the Secret Service buddies are going to tackle me if I say something I'm not supposed to. But, people are going through the checkpoint, and a detector goes off when a little elderly couple goes through, and I'll just leave it at that, detector. And the gentleman had to go for some additional screening. And so I remember this little lady, where will I meet up with him after, you guys are done? And with the most straight voice and disciplined face, I just said, oh ma'am, you're never going to see him again. And her response was, but he has my car keys. That is love. That's what we all long for, right? So my plan was just do this for a few years and then get out, and I have been getting out ever since. Back then, EOD meant VIPs, range clearances, training, maybe a trip to Bosnia or Kosovo or Kuwait. It was fun. Unit spent more time playing volleyball and throwing darts than we probably spent training, but we were very, very good at our job, because we didn't have anything else to do, and it was a pretty simple routine. And then a few years later, a defining moment in our nation's history would forever change the trajectory of what I didn't know at the time would become my career. EOD, in a matter of minutes, went from something few even knew existed to the most critical asset on the battlefield against the most deadly threat on the battlefield, taking our warriors' lives, the IED. I was so close to getting out when the towers fell that I had to get a waiver in order to re-enlist. And that was like the quickest waiver ever approved in military history, by the way. It took no time at all. And then boom, just like that, we went from inter-service reunions here at the ball, at UNGA and on VIPs, to meeting up downrange in Afghanistan, Iraq, later Syria. Task forces Troy and Paladin stood up. Most of you guys probably spent a little time under one of the, if not both of those. I fell under Mobile Units 3 and 6 at one point in time, had Navy flights with me, worked with the Marines in Fallujah, and it didn't matter. Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army. Over there, we were just known as EOD. And after hours and sometimes days of waiting for us to arrive, everyone waiting knew that once we did, someone with glorious hair was about to dismount and do something that makes even the bravest warriors look at us like we're crazy. And we did that. We did it over and over and over again for 2 decades. It took its toll. A toll we're just now understanding as more and more research is starting to provide. My team member from my first deployment to Iraq, Dustin, was one of the first that made it back, but actually didn't survive the experience. Before we would return to Iraq, his family would unwillingly join the ranks of our White Star families, having lost a son, brother, who would succumb to the wounds that go unseen. Several deployments and hundreds of experience later, one day I realized what it was that drew me to EOD. I contemplated leaving a few times. I was going to maybe go do something else within the military or get out. I thought about flying, did the packet nominations, took the test and everything. But a couple of things kept me from ever breaking away, and it was what drew me to EOD in the first place. One was we kept deploying, and I really did feel a calling to be with my team. But there was something else. Remember, I told you I shopped around before switching to EOD, and none of the other communities felt like what I felt when I walked into that first EOD shop. It was the 18th EOD at Fort Bragg. Where are my Bragg vets at? We got any Bragg folks here? Yeah. There we are. What about my Liberty vets? Where are they at? You see, when you grow up in search of a family, you know instantly what it feels like when you find it. In 1996, 3 years after joining the Army, I found what I didn't know I was looking for: my family. EOD family. It means something different to all of us, but in some ways it kind of means the same thing as well. I got married, I bragged to my wife that she could literally now drive across the country, and if she ever broke down, there'd be an EOD tech probably somewhere nearby that would be there to help. That I could go door to door, show up to a bomb tech's house with a coin in my pocket, and I would have a place to stay and a cold drink waiting for me. What she didn't realize until later is that meant we too would be the hosting house more times than she ever imagined, policing up those brothers and sisters that had just way too much fun. And I'm sure many of you can relate. Babe, thanks for always putting up with this EOD family in the good times and in the bad. So what unites us? What brings such a wildly bizarre cast of characters and supporting cast together? Is it the school we all go to? Is it the experiences that we all share? The humor? Really dark humor. Is it the trauma? I think it's all of that, but there's something more, something before we even take our first test, something that draws a certain personality type to this field, and something that draws someone to love us that would make any sane person run away. I think EOD families are just born with a purpose compass that always points to being a part of something greater than us individually. When I was younger, I thought that it was always pointing to danger, the next mission. But now that I don't get to take the long walk anymore, I realize it was so much more than that. It's that knowing that you matter, and that you matter amongst the very best. You matter amongst the greatest, the bravest, the most selfless and committed people that also matter. That EOD family. It's often said soldiers don't fight because they hate who's in front of them. They fight because they love who's behind them. I think EOD, we do it because we love who's beside us. I can tell you in all those deployments, I spent a number of Christmases away from home, but I was never away from my family. You all were right there beside me. I asked a White Star dad who I've become really close friends with since the sudden and tragic departure of his son, Patrick, what EOD family means to him. His reply was, from the moment I was contacted, I knew the other end of the line cared. From that day, the unit never left my side. They didn't know me, but I knew them through my son's eyes. When I met the unit in person, we were a family that loved the same man, was suffering together, and would, in time, smile and laugh together as well. And by the way, they have. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate you. You know, what is EOD family? When after Krista Johnson lost her husband, James, whom we affectionately and collectively call JJ. You guys heard of Hawaiian church for JJ, right? Glad he's rocking our Hawaiian church earlier today. And COVID rules kept her from coming to the memorial on what would have been her and JJ's anniversary. Miles of cars paraded past her house. Everyone in Hawaiian shirts, stopping to place flags and show our love and solidarity. This is one of countless examples of how this community rallies and comes together during struggle. Well, one of my own, Staff Sergeant Mark Wells, made the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan. Our skipper was Charles Andrews. Charles, you here tonight? He spoke at the Combat Zone Memorial about how King Leonidas chose his 300 to fight the Persian army. He didn't choose the youngest or the strongest or the bravest. No, he chose those with the strongest families. Because the strongest families were sure to not only survive, but thrive despite the outcome of the battle. From the strongest families come the best warriors. I asked Charles what family means to him, EOD family means to him. He said, it is a sense of belonging and a source of strength. Knowing you're not alone, facing the challenges of this demanding profession. It's a lifelong network, a group of people you can count on for support, guidance, friendship, and a shared purpose. I got stuck in Singapore one time. I was out in Pacific flying to who knows where, and had a layover, flight got canceled, something like that. And about a year prior, we were training to sing EOD, and I had one of their numbers. I reached out. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and a few minutes later, my sing EOD brother showed up at the airport, picked me up, took me out. I got a shower, cleaned up, and got to see a new city and enjoy a day there. What other community is that normal? Like, that's just common. You know, we weren't tight, but we were EOD. And then I got one more story I have to share that couldn't happen in any other community. So a couple of years ago, Courtney and I are at Boulder Crest doing a songwriting with Soldiers Retreat. By the way, any of you guys have done that yet? If you have not done that, I highly recommend that. That is an amazing program. You know, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Nicole, who helped put that together for us. I want to thank brilliant artist and producer Marsha Altman, who helped us write our song. You know, so we're there that weekend, kind of relaxing, unplugging. About 2 a.m., phone rings. And I get a phone call from one of my captains. And one of the lieutenants who had just gotten out of the Army, was living up in Colorado, said, hey, Sergeant Major, you know, so-and-so is in a bad spot right now, and he's thinking about doing something really, really bad. And he's armed. We've already notified the authorities, but they don't want to show up because he's armed, and they're afraid of suicide by cop. They got him on the line. They're calling me on a different line. And so I'm like, holy crap. I'm in Virginia. The call's coming from the middle of the country. So I hop on the After the Long Walk site, and there's that EOD map, that location map. You know, and if you haven't put yourself on there, please do that. And I look, and I see the closest dot to where this young man is. And I click and I call. It's the middle of the night. It doesn't answer. And luckily my wife let me know that, hey, sometimes it's on silent, and you call twice in a row, it'll come through. So I called a second time, and he picks up. And I'm like, look, man, I don't know you, and you don't know me. And there's another guy you don't know who's about 20 minutes away from you, armed and in a really bad spot. And the authorities won't go. And before I could say, will you help? He said, I'm on my way. He showed up, beat on the door, tried to get in, kind of reached through the garage, opens the back door. Remember, the person on the other side of the door has got a weapon. Doesn't matter. Hey, man, I'm so-and-so. I'm your EOD brother. I'm here to help. He was able to diffuse the situation, no pun intended, get him some help. We got him off, and he's still with us today. Yeah, so thank you for the community. Thank you for those that put your name on that list to say, call me when there's trouble. You know, I don't know any other group of people where that would have happened. You know, most people would have said, well, you know, call 911. EOD is the strongest family because we have the strongest family. Now, let's be honest, being a part of this family isn't always a walk in the park. It's more like a stroll through a minefield. You know, our techs have a knack of finding humor in the darkest moments. John and Van Hood and I were rolling around earlier this week talking about some of that. And people ask you questions like, you know, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? And we're like, you don't want to know that, because we laugh at the stuff that would, you know, give you nightmares. But that is our way of coping, and that's our humor, and that's another common bond we've got. That's our spirit. It's a blend of grit and wit and courage that is all laced with laughter. You know, and let's not forget the families that match that spirit. Keep the home fires burning. We juggle life's challenges with the same steely determination. You, the families, are the unsung heroes who make the mission possible. You are every bit as much a part of the EOD family as the techs who wear the crab. This family extends beyond those who share our homes. It reaches to our Gold Star families. You have borne the heaviest of burdens, and yet you still remain our brightest stars. It reaches to our White Star families, whose loved ones carried the invisible wounds of war. The scars of service are not always seen, but they are felt, and they are often the deepest wounds. You are our family, and we will never let you face challenges alone. That's a promise. There's those that support our success, that do the tough work to train, equip, and ready our forces to run our organizations like this, ensuring that nothing stands between the EOD tech and the challenge. EOD isn't just those of us who wear a badge. The truth is, while we are very proud of our crab, we put it everywhere. Put a crab on something, it now just quadrupled in value. You know, and we should be. It's fucking badass. You know? But it's never been about the badge. It's always been about the heart behind the badge. I was once asked, how long does it take for the average person to earn the EOD badge? And everyone in this room knows that the average person doesn't. No one who graduates EOD school is ordinary. Ordinary people don't do what you do. You guys are all very extraordinary. The only people more impressive are the ones who love us. They deserve that. They deserve so much more than that. It is a special sacrifice our families make to support us. Our spouses didn't choose this life, but they did choose us. Why? Well, if you remember in the beginning, I wanted to ask, why? That's a good question. Well, I told you in the beginning, because nobody loves like EOD. That's just science. And that wasn't meant to be a joke, but I hear a lot of spouses laughing. Our kids chose neither this life nor us, you know, but they have to sacrifice arguably the most. Moving often, changing schools, friends, mom and dad are not home for special occasions, but yet they're right there, and they are survivors. So let's hear it for our loving families and all of their support. It's a special thing, family. It has some unique characteristics, particularly in the military. A unit is just what you get assigned to, and then you all start working for, a common purpose, an organization with one mission. Then we begin positioning people based on their strengths and their talents, and when we do that, we become a team. But a team, when key players are removed or are stressed, are typically weakened. Sometimes they even fall apart. But when a team begins to care more about each other than even the mission, when they begin to love each other, they become a family. Families. Families, when stressed, get stronger. They gather in close. They step up and fill gaps, and they become unconquerable. Our EOD family, it does have its share of challenges. The biggest one, I would argue, is we have too many brothers and sisters who are right now isolated in plain sight. They're letting the egos that got them through school and kept them alive on the battlefield now keep them from connecting personally. We have brothers and sisters that love every minute of life, but not every hour. See, the problem with the community of Alpha is we think if we're not invincible, then that's a weakness. And then we can't share it, and we can't talk about it. I hope everyone in here knows that is not true. The EOD Warrior Foundation, after the long walk, they can't fix this alone. They need each and every one of us to help any way we can. And we need to do it early and often and now. Actually, we do. We need to do it now. So I'm going to call audible real quick. This is what happens when you give a CSM a mic, but not a script. So everybody, take your phone out of your pocket or off your desk, your table, if you're already Googling and doing whatever you want to do. And look around the room, look left and right, look behind you. For every one of us that are here, there are so many more that aren't. So I'm going to ask tonight together, let's find someone that's not here that you're thinking about and send them a text. Just send them a message. I don't care what it is. Hi, how you doing? We're at the ball. Miss you. Tell them Dave says hi. You know? And if you're bold enough, tell them you love them. Tell them that our compass still points to each other. You know? And then set up a time. Let's talk to them a little bit later, right? You know, we can remember old times together. We can forget old times together. It does not matter as long as we do it together. You know? So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to text my old first sergeant. Hey, let's see what that does, right? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. You know, we shoot out some messages, we reach out. And then let's challenge each other to do that more. Let's stay connected. Keep the family close, reminisce together. So as we gather here tonight, let's renew our vow to this family. Let us honor the fallen by living with purpose, by loving fiercely, by laughing loudly, and by never forgetting that we are stronger together. Let us reach out to those who need us, embrace our gold and white star families, celebrate the families who share this journey with us. For in this EOD family, we find not just our strength, but our joy, our hope, and our reason to press on. And I'm telling you, every one of you have a reason. I was looking for a job, and I found a family. What is my identity? Look around. It's this room. It's every one of you. You have been with me the whole way, and I promise to be there with you. I am because we are. The simple phrase rooted in the wisdom of community speaks to the heart of who we are. It's an African philosophy which emphasizes the interconnectedness of humanity. No EOD technician stands alone. No family member walks their path without company. So here's to us, the EOD family, my family, our family. May we continue to face the future with courage, lean on each other with trust, and live out the truth that I am because we are. God bless you all. God bless EOD. God bless America. God bless our community. Thank you. I love you. I really, really do. We remember. Thanks. Man, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
It's very often we find out that the most eloquent and meaningful speakers aren't the ones that tell us something new, but the ones that tell us something that helps us look inward, realize, recognize, and appreciate what we already know. Thank you.